Franklin Richards is one of the most powerful heroes in the Marvel Universe, and definitely the most powerful mutant ever, a fact that has often been reiterated by the Marvel legends. His might and abilities push the boundaries of what even the strongest cosmic entities can barely handle. He warps reality itself, reshapes matter as he pleases, and toys with energies that would make Galactus think twice about picking a fight. For a kid who grew up under the shadow of the Fantastic Four, he packs the kind of potential that defies simple explanation. In this video, I am gonna explore everything there is to explore about this young man's anatomy. But before I begin, please consider subscribing to us. That small click from you will help us tremendously in bringing you these marvelous videos. And now, let's jump in. A cosmically altered beginning. Franklin's journey started in a womb affected by cosmic forces. When Reed Richards and his team, the Fantastic Four, first gained their powers, they were drenched in extraterrestrial radiation. That radiation rewired their genetics. Sue Storm, who became the Invisible Woman, gained the ability to turn invisible and conjure force fields. But those same energies also altered her blood, and while she was pregnant with Franklin, these effects became visible. This unexpected phenomenon created a health crisis for both mother and unborn child. It's unclear why it happened, but it tied in some way to Sue's energy-based powers. The radiation in Sue's blood risked killing her and her child. Reed refused to accept that fate. He traveled to the negative zone, an antimatter dimension, to borrow, shall we say, the cosmic control rod from Annihilus. That device let Reed siphon a special energy that balanced out the harmful effects in Sue's body. The result? Sue gave birth to a healthy boy named Franklin Benjamin Richards. He gained his powers early on, but why? While the Fantastic Four members were technically mutates, humans transformed by cosmic rays, Franklin ended up a bona fide mutant from birth. Most mutants only see powers surface when puberty hits, but Franklin had them peeking out while he was still in diapers. This special status came from the combined effect of the radiation that changed his parents at the genetic level, plus the extra push from the negative zone's energies. His cells carried something extraordinary. Extraordinary might be an understatement. Before Franklin could even speak in full sentences, he tapped his nascent psionic potential to save the Fantastic Four from the Frightful Four. He psychically jogged the Thing back to consciousness and turned the tide of battle. We're talking about a toddler saving superheroes. The core of his anatomy. Annihilus once forced Franklin's powers to emerge prematurely. He trapped young Franklin in a machine that unleashed the child's full potential without the emotional maturity to handle it. This surge nearly led to an earth-shattering meltdown because Franklin's energy output spiked so high that Reed believed the planet might not survive. Reed improvised a device that put Franklin into a coma to keep his explosive power in check. Later, Franklin broke free from that coma when the robot, Ultron 7, messed with his mind, causing him to unleash energy that overwhelmed Ultron. That alone gave the rest of the heroes room to defeat the robot. In simpler language, Franklin's existence and the delicate balance within his body are an ever-present high-stakes scenario. If he loses control, entire worlds can bite the dust. Franklin eventually grew aware that his power scaled faster than his maturity. For a brief period, he aged himself into adulthood and became Avatar. That adult form gave him full access to his abilities, but his emotional makeup stayed childlike. Realizing how risky that mismatch was, he chose to revert to childhood and installed mental barriers, voluntary locks on his own powers, until he reached the mental and emotional readiness needed for cosmic-level responsibility. His physical body, even as a child, is extraordinary in its ability to withstand or contain these vast energies. Reed once worried that, left unchecked, Franklin could combust with the force to level Earth. And we're not talking about hypothetical panic. This was a real possibility in Franklin's early years. His biology had to manage this swirling storm inside him every single day. He can manipulate reality, but it depends on his emotions and mental state. When Onslaught, a psychic entity born from Professor Xavier and Magneto, threatened Earth's heroes, Franklin unconsciously sent the Avengers and Fantastic Four into a new pocket universe. Those heroes had no memory of their past lives, so it took a while before they realized they were living in a bubble reality. This entire realm came from Franklin's fear, imagination, and reflex. Later, Franklin carried this counter-Earth around in a little blue globe like a marble. With help and some compassion from the celestial Ashima, he allowed that pocket Earth to exist without dooming his own homeworld. Dr. Doom and others eventually placed this new Earth on the far side of the sun, coining the name Counter-Earth. But that was just the beginning of Franklin's reality-warping career. The Celestials recognized him as someone who could twist reality. They saw him as an universal shaper. A single Celestial usually holds power on par with a Big Bang. The fact that Franklin, even as a kid, could rank among them speaks volumes. He once combined with his sister Valeria to revive Galactus, who's basically an unstoppable planet eater. Franklin's abilities wax and wane with his emotional state. When he's cornered or traumatized, his full potential sometimes explodes out of him, but he's not reckless. After the fiasco with Abraxas, a force that threatened the entire multiverse, Franklin ended up exhausting his powers to resurrect Galactus and reset the balance. When fear, confusion, or trauma hits, his abilities can fluctuate. Case in point, after he was abducted by Annihilus or tormented in hell by Doom's conjured demons, his mental distress affected how much control he had. His brain is a powerhouse of psionic mastery and telekinesis. Franklin reads minds, projects thoughts, and sets up psychic illusions. He once took over minds or masked his presence entirely. He can cause amnesia, speak telepathically, and even shield himself from psychic intrusions. If that sounds like standard telepath stuff, keep in mind Franklin does it on a scale that can affect super powerful godlike beings. He once overcame Ultron 7's manipulative energies by pushing back psychically. In short, cosmic or not, he can get into your head and foobar it. Telekinesis is another one of his many powers. He can lift or move objects with a thought, hurl people across rooms, or assemble structures out of rubble. He rarely uses it in mundane ways. He usually has bigger fish to fry, but it's there. As an adult, and briefly in his avatar form, his telekinesis soared to near unlimited levels, and that's why he now chooses to keep it dialed down while in his child form. Even heavyweights like Professor X have trouble scanning or manipulating Franklin's mind when he locks it up. He's hidden entire Omega-level energies from Xavier's telepathy. If you can hide your hurricane of power from one of the greatest telepaths ever, you've got some serious mental security. The Celestials, the X-Men, and others have tried to gauge him, but he's a fortress when he wants to be. He can reshuffle matter and energy. Franklin can rearrange the molecular structure of matter. That can range from simple transformations like turning energy blasts into harmless objects to something more mind-boggling, such as rebuilding entire planets. He has stabilized suns under the guidance of his older self. He's turned celestial attacks into flowers. He once repaired a fracture in reality by weaving what I can only describe as cosmic threads. And every one of those feats came off as a temporary glimpse of what he's truly capable of if he removes all his mental dampers. Does his body store energy? What about gravity and electromagnetism? Franklin can channel powerful energy blasts from his body. He once hammered Mephisto in his own realm with raw power. That's borderline suicidal for most beings, because Mephisto is near omnipotent in his home turf. But Franklin inflicted such a high degree of pain that Mephisto was forced to back off. Attacking a demon lord in hell and living to tell the tale isn't exactly normal. That was all child's play for Franklin. No pun intended. The energy blasts that I am talking about sometimes come as swirling waves or concentrated beams. The severity depends on Franklin's mental or emotional state. If he's calm and methodical, he can fine-tune them to knock back threats without collateral damage. If he's panicked or cornered, he might obliterate an entire area. One time, he shot Norman Osborn with what looked like a toy gun, only for that toy to produce a real bullet wound. In short, Franklin can manipulate gravity, electromagnetism, and possibly the nuclear strong and weak forces if he focuses hard enough. No form of energy truly stays out of his reach, though he rarely does anything small scale, like adjusting local weather patterns, because it's beneath his notice. Precognitive abilities and dreams. Franklin's precognitive dreams first appeared in childhood. He joined the young superhero team Power Pack under the codename Tattletale. That name came from how he often foresaw trouble, then reported it. These visions were sometimes brief but shockingly accurate. He caught glimpses of the future involving threats or personal tragedies, usually a few days before they happened. He once traveled with the Power Pack to an alien world, ended up in the Snark throne world, and returned to Earth. His dreams guided him. The important thing isn't that he took a cosmic road trip in a child superhero group, it's that he did so guided by dream visions that rarely steered him wrong. That alone suggests his mind is tethered to the infinite network of all possible timelines. Over time, Franklin's dream-based precognition got stronger. He saw bigger events, such as the threat of Abraxas, who threatened the entire multiverse. Franklin's dream vision recognized Abraxas's approach long before other beings took notice. That's a serious advantage. But it also became a burden, because he bore the weight of catastrophes he might or might not be able to avert. Some clairvoyants or telepaths only get hazy glimpses. Franklin's visions often show precise, detailed images. Still, they're not 100% guaranteed. Multiple timelines exist, so he sees the most probable path. If someone changes something drastically, his dream vision might shift. That sense of unpredictability sometimes haunted him, especially when he saw tragedies that he couldn't prevent. Can he teleport or time travel? Franklin has teleported himself and others across vast distances. The negative zone is only a few steps away if Franklin decides. He also used his powers to move entire masses or even shift entire cities to other dimensions. This ability stems from his reality warping side. If you can rewrite the rules of physics, then bouncing from one galaxy to another is child's play. Franklin has dipped his hands into time travel, but that's not all. He once aged himself into adulthood. Another time, older versions of him appeared to help the present-day Franklin. In these unusual episodes, we see that the boy manipulates the time stream as easily as the main timeline if he has reason to. He usually avoids messing with time because that can make even bigger headaches. But the potential is there. A teenage version of Franklin, known as Psy-Lord, came from the future with advanced training from Nathaniel Richards, Reed's father. That version had substantial telekinetic and telepathic powers. He also formed the Fantastic Force. This era showed that time and space can bend around Franklin in ways few others can match. He eventually vanished from the timeline, replaced by his younger self. Just how durable is he? Even as a child, Franklin once tanked a celestial assault that would have pulverized most superpowered beings. He got knocked out, but survived. Some would call that luck. I believe that his psionic shield might be part of his anatomy. His father Reed built advanced suits and gadgets for the Fantastic Four, but Franklin's best protection might be his own body's energy field. Franklin's experiences in hell, courtesy of Dr. Doom's dark magic, tested his mental and spiritual limits. He came out shaken, but he recovered. His entire system, physical and mental, seems to bounce back from adversity. That resilience partly flows from the radiation that shaped his genetics. Even child welfare services once questioned whether the Baxter building was safe for him, but Franklin has shown that he can handle a lot. He was more at risk of traumatizing the demons in hell than the other way around. Victor von Doom once implied that those who warp reality have a spark of magic in them. Franklin's cosmic manipulations suggest an underlying mystical component. Magic in the Marvel Universe is often about harnessing energies through will and intention. Franklin's reality bending is exactly that, but on steroids. What are his limitations and weaknesses? Franklin's biggest weakness often comes from the locks he places on himself. He recognizes his power can become a threat to everyone he cares about, so he purposely holds back. When Franklin is afraid or traumatized, his powers can surge uncontrollably or shut down altogether. Events like being kidnapped by Onslaught, tormented by demons, or carried off by Annihilus left mental scars. So while physically he's near untouchable, psychologically, he's still a kid who wants a normal life. Franklin's mutant status let him pass through Krakoan gates for a while, since he was recognized as an Omega-level mutant. But as time went on, we learned he was subconsciously rewriting his own genes and powers. He made it appear as if he'd lost them, or that they'd changed so he no longer registered as a mutant. This created tension with the X-Men, who had high hopes for him. In truth, he can still reactivate his powers one day a year, at which point all memories might return. When that day ends, he forgets again. This arrangement is part of his personal desire to explore normal teenage life. It's not a weakness in the sense of a vulnerability, but it's a self-imposed limitation. One could argue it's even more dangerous because he's essentially a bomb that goes off once a year, then goes dormant. Reed Richards once used external technology to shut Franklin's powers off, the coma device. Others might replicate such methods if they catch him off guard. His best defense is his own cunning, so if powerful or magical foes corner him and neutralize his mind, they can hamper his abilities. But that's easier said than done, because Franklin rarely wanders around unprotected or naive. Why Franklin is considered beyond Omega. Franklin ranks alongside Celestials. These gods embody energies that shaped entire galaxies, yet Franklin has stood toe-to-toe with them. He even destroyed mad Celestials and resurrected Galactus. That alone vaults him into a league beyond typical Omega-level mutants like Jean Grey or Magneto. Adult Franklin, in some timelines, is described as the great enemy of the omniversal order. He can rewrite or abolish entire timelines. He can pluck cosmic entities out of oblivion or put them there. He builds and unbuilds entire universes with a whim if the conditions allow. No other Omega-level mutant, aside from possibly those with direct ties to the Beyonder or the Phoenix Force, operates on that scale, and Franklin has done it mostly through his own innate power, rather than external cosmic objects. The term Omega-level mutant is usually the highest rank. Franklin's powers surpass typical Omega standards because he doesn't just manipulate matter and energy, he creates or reshapes entire universes with minimal external help. The current state of Franklin Richards. Franklin lives with his family and attends a school in Arizona after the Fantastic Four moved to a more laid-back setting. The days of crises, secret wars, and universal reconstruction have slowed down for now. He still helps out in big emergencies, though he's more apt to let the adult heroes handle daily battles. The one-day-a-year scenario stands. He regains full awareness and might do something huge like save Earth from invisible asteroids, then revert to a clueless teenager with a normal life. The only real uncertainty is how long this self-limitation will last. Will he decide at age 18 or older that it is time to re-embrace everything and become the next champion or threat? Or will he remain a normal, power-on-holiday kind of guy, stepping in only when the stakes can't get any higher? That remains an open question. Why his anatomy matters more than ever. Franklin's entire body is like a battery that recharges under the right conditions. It's not a typical mutation like, say, Nightcrawler's blue skin or Wolverine's healing factor. His powers hail from some deeper principle. The combination of his parents' radiation plus the negative zone energy plus an X gene gave him something truly special. Even his cells respond to forces in ways that scientists like Reed can't fully quantify. His mind anchors his powers. If you tried to dissect Franklin, not that anyone should try, you'd see normal human organs. But the energy within them runs on a frequency that defies standard biology. His brainwaves can interface with energies, bridging the gap between standard telepathy and universal manipulation. That's how he's able to create entire realms. He extends his mental framework into the building blocks of space-time. We've seen adult versions of Franklin who roamed the cosmos for millennia, forging alliances with Galactus or going to war with Celestials. We've also seen him as a kid messing around with toy guns that morph into real weapons. The future isn't set in stone, but every sign suggests that if Franklin stops limiting himself, he'll dwarf most recognized powers in the Marvel Universe. That's a big reason his family and allies treat him carefully. Marvelous conclusion. Franklin's place in the cosmic landscape. Franklin Richards is the living crossroads of cosmic radiation, mutant genes, and raw imagination. His anatomy, if you can even call it that, is more than flesh and blood. He's a universal engine disguised as a kid who loves hot dogs and video games. He has rearranged worlds, battered celestials, resurrected gods, and toyed with entire realities inside a little glowing globe. He's beyond Omega by pretty much every metric. Yet beneath that aura, Franklin's a boy who wants a normal life. He's soared past barriers, but he's also navigated the heartbreak of feeling like an outcast. He's lost powers and regained them. He's been everything from a code-named child hero on the Power Pack to an overlord who stands side by side with an enthralled Galactus. And he's done all this without losing his fundamental optimism. No matter what the Marvel Universe throws at him, Franklin Richards remains one of its biggest wildcards. One moment, he's fueling nightmares with unstoppable reality-warping might. The next moment, he's eating cereal in front of Saturday morning cartoons, ignoring his ability to remake the galaxy. That tension defines him. Unstoppable force, meet a teenage kid with typical teenage hopes and fears. In short, Franklin Richards is the epitome of potential, a reality manipulator who has single-handedly created universes and shaped the future. Yet he's also just a boy with a big heart and an even bigger moral conscience. That duality makes him one of the most fascinating, powerful, and, let's be real, terrifying figures in Marvel lore. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one, and be safe out there. Thanks, everyone.